Week 10 going into Week 11. I'm here as always with JD and Reese. It's the Good, Bad, Ugly podcast. How we doing today, guys?
Good, KB. Another week in the books.
Another week in the books. Second week for us. 10th week for the NFL, and another disaster for us.
Yeah.
If you picked underdogs, you would have won in 8 games out of the 14 played this weekend. It all started with the Ravens falling in Miami, which was a signal for a repeat of Week 9. Tampa Bay loses in Washington. So a lot to go over. Rams lost last night. A lot to go over. Lions got their first non-loss of the season. And I'll just get us started right away with the good is the return of the best team in the NFL. The Kansas City Chiefs are back. And the AFC has been sleeping for the whole year. Buffalo's really good. Tennessee's really good. Who's going to win it? None of these teams are great. The Chiefs are great. The Chiefs are back. They got really creative. I saw the old Chiefs team again. Good play calling. Getting the ball to Travis Kelce is where the whole offense starts. Making sure you can shrink the outside by collapsing the middle of the field. The Raiders had to focus way too much on the middle of the field to Travis Kelce this weekend. It opens up everything else. Tyreek Hill had one of his more average games, which we haven't even seen much of this year, 7 for 83 and 2 touchdowns. We know he could do even more than that in yards and receptions. They established the run fairly well, as good as the Chiefs really have. Darrell Williams ran pretty well, 11 for 43, just under 4 yards a carry. McKinnon, 3 for 26, and Gore, 6 for 19. So they're getting guys in, different looks at running back. But the defense has been exceptional the last 3 weeks, and they get the pass. Honestly, on all 3 weeks for me, I don't love the defense still because they beat the Giants, not a good offense. The Packers game, obviously no Rodgers. They probably lose that game if Rodgers plays. And the Raiders, I mean, the Raiders are just, they don't even have any weapons running around the field anymore. But Darren Waller is as good as they come in the NFL, and they held him to 4 for 24 on 7 targets. They had 2 takeaways. They're the first in the AFC West. I expect them to run away with the division, especially following the Chargers loss, which we'll talk about later, and beating the Raiders. And, of course, the Broncos lost also. So they were the only team to get a win in the close AFC West. And I'll pass it off to you guys on if you think the Chiefs are back or not as they get to 6-4 after Week 10.
I do think the Chiefs are back. I'm not sure how they're going to put up against the best teams right now, but I think with that defense playing well, they got a lot to build off of before the postseason. They could build some momentum and really make a run if they stick to the game plan, get the ball to Kelce and Hill, like you said, KB.
Yeah, I don't know if the Chiefs are all the way back yet. If they play like that against the Raiders permanently, they're back. That was one of the vintage Chiefs games. They should probably consider banning Jackson Mahomes from Arrowhead because now we know what the issue is. Jackson Mahomes is a curse. He can't be at any of the games anymore. The Chiefs will run away with the AFC if he's not. But in all seriousness, we'll see if the Chiefs are really back this week versus Dallas because that's a good one. That's my favorite game of the week at 4:30.
I mean, Thursday we're definitely diving into that. That's the best game of the week. It's maybe
Absolutely.
If the Chiefs are back, it's the 2 best offenses in the NFL going at it on next Sunday for Week 11. But I really love what I saw from the Chiefs, and I think that they're gonna start rolling now. But they do have the toughest schedule in the league the rest of the way. So even if it is the same old Chiefs, they have to make sure that they can get into the playoffs still. It's not going to be
either
easy.
way, same old Chiefs or not, I think they're winning the division because the Chargers are too inconsistent. We'll talk about them later. I don't really know what's going on there, and I think the Raiders are at the beginning of their collapse, and the Broncos are not a team to worry about. So we'll see. I think the Chiefs are going to run away with this thing soon, though.
Definitely.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, we can move on to Reese's good.
All right, so my good for the week is the Cowboys. We're talking about this game all week. I really liked the Falcons in this one, coming off a win. They look like they could do something this year, but the Cowboys kind of shut that down. Showed us what they kind of showed us that the Cowboys are a good team and the Falcons are not. The big story for the Cowboys was the defense. They had 3 picks, each by all of their starting cornerbacks. They had 10 deflections. And Dak went 24 for 31 with 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. It was just all around a good game. The Cowboys were hitting on all cylinders, and the Falcons really weren't. There was nothing impressive, and of course there was a Dan Quinn revenge game, which is why the defense played so well.
Disappointing.
We knew that.
He knew Yeah, I was going to say, you guys have been calling it all week. They knew what to do with Matt Ryan. He got completely embarrassed. I think he had a 30 passer rating at the end of the game. Just a horrible game for the Falcons and a very good one for the Cowboys. They are back.
Yeah, turnover opportunistic defense like the Cowboys is going to make plays against a team like the Falcons because the Falcons don't have any weapons. They're Calvin Ridley list, which finally caught up to them, I think, on Sunday. They couldn't move the ball. Patterson got hurt, so Wayne Gallman had 15 touches for 55 yards. That's not the best. He's not going to get you moving down the field like Patterson. I don't know what's going on with Mike Davis. He didn't get many touches, so I'm thinking he's a little banged up too. But the Falcons have no offense, so the Cowboys should have put a beating on them like they did on Sunday.
Yeah, and I did also forget to mention CeeDee Lamb is just getting better and better every single week. Yep. He's so impressive. He's becoming a top receiver in the NFL.
Dak's gonna enter into the MVP race too if they keep this up, which I expect.
Because no one wants to win the MVP. No one
does. Dude, I mean, you look at. I just hate to get off track for the Cowboys here. Look at my picks from the last 2 weeks. The game picks have been a disaster, and then I go and pick Matthew Stafford to win the MVP. And what does he do last night?
Yeah, he turns into God.
This is terrible. Bad. This is absolutely awful. Tough. But to talk about get back to the Cowboys now. I got to see a few more things from the Cowboys before I start putting them into that. I think they could win the Super Bowl. I really do. I think that they're that talented. I think that they look a lot better this year. And like you said, JD, opportunistic turnover defense. And they're really capitalizing on their chances to get turnovers. But they have to keep winning because I don't think the Cowboys could go on the road and win any games against the NFC playoff teams. And their run game's not great. They have not established a great run game. And maybe you could say that's because they don't have to because their passing game's so good. But I need to see Zeke get back to Zeke before, because look at all the NFC teams that they're going to be competing against. The Packers can run with anyone. They're showing that with A.J. Dillon. They definitely showed it on Sunday. Bucs can run with Fournette with anybody. These teams can all run. The Rams have a really good rushing offense and a really good balanced offense when it comes to controlling time of possession. These are tough teams to play against if you don't have a run game. And if Zeke doesn't start going, he had 2 touchdowns with both of the goal line this week. If you don't start getting either of the two going, because Pollard's really good too, I'm concerned with this Dallas offense because we could see a situation like Denver last week where they're at a stalemate and they can't score at all because Denver shuts down the passing game.
Yeah, Zeke shows you those flashes in games like when he's plowing over people to get into the end zone. That's the old Zeke. But there's just something been off. He's not filling up the stat sheet like he used to. But I'm gonna make a bold prediction and say on Sunday, I feel like we're gonna see a big day from Zeke in Arrowhead. I think that one's gonna be a shootout. But what do we know? Because we've been predicting every game pretty much wrong because the underdogs are just winning left and right.
Arrowhead, too. Tough place to go in and just start throwing, especially with the team that the Chiefs have. Really tough place to go in and start throwing. Chiefs don't have a great run defense. I definitely agree with you. I expect them to really try to run it all over the Chiefs. But, JD, I want to ask you this question in regards to the Cowboys. Is it just me, or was there not a lack of rushing and maybe a negligence to the run when Mike McCarthy was coaching the Packers, too?
Yeah, at the end of his days in Green Bay, I mean, the Packers never really had a good running back in the beginning of Aaron Rodgers' tenure as a Packers quarterback, so they could just sling it around the field. But towards the end, when they drafted Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams, he refused to run the ball with them. I don't know what it was, but I think you might be seeing a little bit of a carryover to that in Dallas with Zeke. And I know they like giving Pollard the ball, but I feel like Zeke's got to have minimum 20 touches a game.
When McCarthy left and LaFleur came in, you saw that Williams and Jones might have been the best two-headed monster in the NFL.
Absolutely.
And I see the same thing with Dallas, but it's not being used. I feel like they could be that same exact type
duo,
duo,
right up there.
but it's not being utilized.
That duo is right up there with Chubb and Hunt and Jones and Dillon. Yeah. That's a good duo in Dallas. They got to just keep feeding those guys because the running game on that offense, they can sling it too, but the running game is the engine to me.
Yep.
Yeah, and if you're pounding the ball all game with Zeke, Pollard's going to come in the fourth quarter and absolutely shred a defense apart. He's going to be rested and with fresh legs. The Cowboys, you guys are very right. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. All right, I'll take it into the last good this week, and then we're going to get into the bad and ugly, which there was a lot of this week. So good conversations coming up. But the last good I got is the New England Patriots. And how about the Patriots? They took care of business at home when we thought this was going to be a low-scoring, defensive, close game. I mean, They took it to the Browns. They put up 45 points. Mac Jones looks comfortable and poised in the pocket. He's 19 of 23 for 198 and 3 touchdowns. The guy doesn't make turnover-worthy throws. He keeps it simple. They keep it simple for him, and he takes care of the football. And that's going to win you football games anyway, especially if the defense plays like that. They have other guys stepping up too. The running back Stevenson, who I've never even heard of before Sunday, had 100 yards and 2 tuds. Kendrick Bourne had 98 yards and a touchdown. Jacoby Myers got his first touchdown in garbage time. And Mac Jones and Hunter Henry might be, going forward, one of the top pairs in the league because Mac feeds him in the red zone. They have a special connection. I'm interested to see how it plays out going forward for the Patriots, but right now you got to love where they are. I think Belichick's my coach of the year, and I can't wait to watch them on a short week traveling to Atlanta. It's going to be an intriguing game.
Yeah, I think this is definitely Belichick's master class. I was definitely in the group of Belichick had more of an impact than Brady, and I see now that I was not correct on that, but I still don't think it's totally all Brady. I think Belichick's the best coach of all time, and I think he's showing it. This is his way of showing it now, is this team. I think they're the second best defense in the NFL behind Buffalo, and we're going to talk about Buffalo later. But JD, you totally hit it right on the head. Mac Jones doesn't lose games.
No.
He's a really impressive rookie quarterback as far as his composure. How will that translate to playoffs? Him not really being able to take over a game with his arm? I don't know. We'll see.
I can't wait, though. I would...
Yeah. The run game is as always in New England. Whoever's playing running back is really solid.
Yeah, and the offensive line gets the job done. Always. That's
a testament too It's a testament to their offensive line every year, especially the interior of their offensive line is so good, so powerful every year that this is a really tough team to beat, and their strength comes with their simplicity. I think that's what makes them so difficult, and they got a huge game Thursday night. They have to win in Atlanta to really solidify themselves as a postseason threat, I think.
Yeah, I couldn't have been more wrong about the Pats, especially last week. I was all over the Browns, thought they were going to win. But this is just a classic Bill game where he goes out and just makes the defense just it's manipulated. And you see just the consistent 5-yard plays that it's impossible to stop. And like you guys said, Mac isn't gonna lose you games, but he also isn't gonna win you games. So I'm a little worried about the Pats, like in the long run. But I think they're gonna make the playoffs, but I don't know how much farther they get after that. Simply based off the fact of Mac not being able to deliver in like a special way.
Yeah, and I think though this Thursday night game is a bigger test than people think, and I'm really excited for it because we're going to see if the underdog trend holds up. We're going to see if the Falcons, like everyone is on the Patriots. Everyone thinks the Patriots are going to win. Everyone thinks they're going to cover the spread. I don't know with this one because of the Thursday night games. I've learned my lesson betting against the home dog, but I really do think the Patriots come out and move to 7-4 and just keep rolling. They're right on the Bills' tail. I mean, we'll see. I'm really excited for Thursday's game.
They still play each other twice.
They do.
They haven't played Buffalo yet at all.
Those games are going to be good.
Yeah.
I think that the Patriots kind of have a bit of an advantage in this postseason, right? Not that they're the favorite in the postseason, but in this wild card race, they're the most well-coached team, by far the most well-coached team in the league. Their defense is absolutely insane, which is the strength of a lot of the top AFC teams. And I think that the AFC is pretty weak this year and very competitive, and so I think New England could really go on a run. And I'd love to see them. You know, they play Buffalo, Tennessee, and Buffalo in the span of 3 weeks.
Wow.
Or 3 or 4 weeks. They play
I didn't know that.
teams. So that's going to be an incredible test for them and for the other two teams, and we're going to see who, that's going to really establish a favorite, I think, that stretch of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I definitely think the Pats can still make a deep playoff run. I would really like to see how Mac can meticulate down the field. If Bill gives them maybe even a little control with the offense and see what he can do then too.
Yeah. I think the Patriots are definitely capable of a playoff run because of how up for grabs the AFC is. Because there is a lot of good teams. There's 12 teams at 500 or better, which is absurd.
Yeah.
And almost the opposite in the NFC. So, I mean, there's like 10 teams in the AFC that legitimately could make the playoffs. So, I mean, once you get in, then that's half the battle. Then you can go on a run. We'll see what the Patriots do, but I really am excited.
Yeah, the playoffs are going to be a really fun time this year, I think.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
to segue into the bad for this week, there's a lot of it. We're coming off 2 weeks of just ugly football from teams that should be winning games and need to be winning games. So I'm going to get started with the rookie head coach crumbling in L.A. The Chargers are starting to get into some trouble. Lost to the Vikings. Vikings, I consistently will say, I think are a postseason underdog threat.
Oh,
I
wait,
said it
they
last
always
year,
are.
and they just fell short.
Every year.
I think that this offense is really good that Minnesota has, but the Chargers were awful. Minnesota's defense, while they've probably been overachieving this year, maybe give credit to Mike Zimmer for that, the personnel is not great, and the Chargers got totally outcoached in this game. Herbert, 20 for 34, 195 yards, a touchdown and an interception. That's unacceptable
Herbert didn't
for
play
the
good.
talent that Herbert has and the talent that he has around him. Eckler, 11 for 44, didn't really get the run going a ton, and he only had 3 receptions for 15 yards. He did grab a touchdown on one of those. But I think you have to get the ball into Eckler's hand more in the receiving game.
Completely agree.
Forced checkdowns, screens. Their defense stinks. They couldn't stop any running game in the NFL. And Brandon Staley has to figure that out. Their linebackers are not good. The middle of their defense is just not good. Derwin James is good, but everything else in the middle is not good. Linval Joseph might be their best middle player on their defense, and he stinks.
Yeah.
And this offense is just too good. The offense is too good for them to be losing these games by only scoring 20 points to Minnesota. And I think that with the Chiefs winning, we touched on it a couple minutes ago, Chiefs winning and taking the lead in this division, it's a disaster for the Chargers. If they get a 7 seed, I think that they might be the one team in that postseason that I say there's no chance, because they're the one team in this playoff race that has consistently disappointed me. They should be a lot better than they are, and they don't come prepared to games, I don't think.
Yeah. Speaking of offense, I feel like the Chargers also need to get the ball to Mike Williams. Ever since he's gone quiet, I feel like the Chargers' offense has gone a little quiet as well.
Yeah.
He's been very underwhelming, and so has the Chargers' offense. I'm really confident that if they got the ball to Mike Williams and Eckler more, like you said, KB, they would be a much different football team.
Yeah, the Chargers are in trouble. Well, let's be real. They're hanging on for the 7th
Every
seed
year.
for dear life. The Chiefs passed them. The Raiders and Broncos are right there. They're in trouble if they don't wake up. They're one of the more frustrating teams, in my opinion, to watch because they have a special talent at quarterback. They have 2 special wide receivers. They have a special running back, but they don't give Eckler the ball enough. He needs to touch it more. He needs 20 carries, and he needs to catch the ball out of the backfield. He needs to touch the football more. And I feel like every time I look up at the Chargers game, it's always Herbert running around to his right, scrambling, trying to find someone down the field like it's Madden. It's not going to work. Staley, I think, has the chance to really be a good head coach, but I think right now he's a little in over his head, and the Chargers need to figure it out.
And just to touch on Eckler again, if you watch the good games the Chargers playing, I'm not convinced that Eckler's any worse than a guy like McCaffrey or Kamara if you use him properly. This is one of the best running backs in the league, one of the best dual-threat players in the league, just overall as good of a weapon as teams really get in the NFL. Obviously, there's a few guys that are better than him, but they have to get him the ball more. Three receptions for 15 yards on 3 or 4 targets, that's not enough at all. There has to be design plays to get the ball into Austin Eckler's hands on screen passes with protection on the outside. And that's just not – Mike Williams, you got some really good blockers on this team. Mike Williams, Jared Cook, spread them on the outside, get them to block for Eckler screens. You don't even have to move the offensive line out. But overall, this Chargers team is turning into a sad story for their
They
season
have so
right
much
now. They got to
potential.
salvage it.
They have so much potential.
Yeah.
They got to salvage it.
I think
Because – Reese, you go.
All right. I was going to say I think that Eckler and Jonathan Taylor are probably 2 of the best pound-for-pound running backs in the NFL.
Yeah.
Eckler packs a punch.
And you see
he's
what's
not a
going on
big
with
dude.
the Colts now that they're using him.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Colts are
exactly.
4-1 in their last 5.
I think not to get too much out of the context of just this week alone. I know I do a lot, but I try not to. The Charger, with modern day salary cap, there is a window for teams with great rookie quarterbacks. Once they get out of that 5th year option, your window kind of closes. And we saw it with Philadelphia. Wentz wasn't on the field for the Super Bowl, but that was their game plan. That was their blueprint. It worked. They did the same thing with Mahomes in Kansas City. You need to win these seasons when you have a really talented quarterback on his rookie deal. They need to be winning these games. They need to get that postseason experience out of the way now, so next year it's not just let's get to the playoffs finally. It's let's now build on our playoff run from last year and get to the Super Bowl. And right now they're trending in the wrong direction, and I think that they really have to clean this up. Herbert has to bounce back this week, and that's as much on the coaching staff. Those rollout plays are god-awful that they have him on. Sit him in the pocket. The offensive line's not that bad. Much improved from last year. Sit him in the pocket, let him throw. They got a lot of weapons, so the coaching has to get a lot better. Play calling from Lombardi has to get a lot better this week.
Yep.
All right, so my bad for the week is the Bucs. Watching this game, the Bucs just got completely outplayed. I feel like the role should have almost been reversed for this game. The Washington football team was converting on clutch third downs and scoring clutch touchdowns. They had a 19-play, 80-yard drive to end the game to put it out of reach for Tom Brady. If they kicked a field goal on that drive, they would have given Brady the ball back with the chance to score a touchdown and win the game. It was just a pathetic display of football by the Bucs coming off a bye. You need to be more fresh. You need to have a better game plan. And Tom Brady actually had his worst first quarter since 2012. He was 2 for 6 with 6 yards and 2 interceptions. It was
those 2 picks
just a bad
good.
performance. Yeah, they came out flat. One of them was punched out of, I don't even know who the running back is. I think it was their third string. Got punched out into the air. That one wasn't exactly his fault, but the other one was god-awful. It was a really bad throw. And Heineke might be Brady's kryptonite. Every time the Bucs play the football team, Heineke balls out. He had a very good game, especially he had a really nice throw in the back corner of the end zone for his only throwing touchdown of the game.
Yeah, for the Bucs to come into the game this week seemingly unprepared, very sloppy, turnovers, penalties were ridiculous in this game. I think Bruce Arians is a really good head coach. Tom Brady's as good of a player coach as there can be. It was a really disappointing bounce back off a loss going into the bye week, and they come in against a bad Washington team, and they totally lay an egg in the first half, and they never make up for it because the football team actually found their stride in the second half, and in the whole game, really. Reese, you mentioned that game-winning drive that put the final nail in the coffin, and really disappointing Week 10 for Tampa Bay, who's trying to, and I think kind of almost needs to, I think all these NFC teams need to fight for that top 2 seeds because they need as much home field advantage as they can get. And this is a tough loss for Tampa, but they're a team that the division's pretty comfortable right now, so I'm not going to go too crazy with their position.
Yeah, and KB, you said the positioning in the NFC playoff is big for them because all 3 of their losses this year are on the road. They haven't lost a game at home. They're undefeated at home. They love playing at home, but it's going to be unfortunate if because of a game they lose to the football team, they get the 4 seed or the 3 seed. So they're deservedly in the bad this week. But I also think the Bucs are going to be fine. The bye week didn't do much for them because they didn't get healthier. I don't know how that's possible. They had a week off.
Yeah, I don't know.
Gronk and AB didn't come back, and
they really need both of them back.
Godwin still looks like not 100% out there. So we know what happened in the first half last year with Tampa. Then they turned it on after their bye week. They're not going to do it after a bye week, obviously, but I'm still expecting them to turn it on at some point. So they'll be fine.
Yeah, without Gronk and AB, too, AB definitely helps the offense a ton. He just spreads the field so much. I truthfully think he's their best receiver out of those 3 studs. But you lose a lot of red zone presence with Gronk, too, a lot of, just inside the sticks. You lose a ton of presence in the middle of the field. I talked about it with Kelsey before. You don't have that threat in the middle right now. Brait and O.J. Howard really have not been as good as people like to say they are. It's a deep tight end room, I guess, but it's not a great one after Gronk. So I think that they need both of those guys back, and they'll have them both back for the playoffs. So it's still going to be the same old dangerous Tampa Bay team. I wouldn't take this loss too hard, but it was definitely a really bad one coming out of the bye.
Yeah, and you have to worry though. Yeah. You have to worry more about. I'd say less about the offense, more about the defense, just because of the way that Washington worked them in the final drive. Because Tampa got that turnover, and then they scored the touchdown to Mike Evans, and you looked like, oh, this is going to swing. Tampa will come out with a narrow, 3-point victory. And then Washington, a 10-minute, 19-play touchdown drive to seal the game is absurd. That's so long.
Tell you what, too. I know he didn't play last year into the Super Bowl. If Vita Vea is hurt, that's a huge loss.
Huge,
defense.
especially in the run game.
So good. They need the defense can't take any more hits than they already have. I think he should be good. Maybe a couple weeks sidelined, but they need those two back on the offense, and they need to make sure he's healthy. And they got to get some of this secondary back.
Yeah,
I don't know how.
I think Sherman's done though. I think Sherman's done. He needs to retire.
Yeah, I do too. Sherman's
yeah.
Shot. But
okay.
You said it. I don't know how this bye week didn't cut down.
Didn't
their
help him either,
at all.
game plan wise.
Oh, evidently, yeah.
Yeah, and one more thing. That Washington football defense, if they play like that every week, they would be a very good football team. That offense is good enough to put up 25 a game, and they did just lose Chase Young, though.
Yeah,
so
prayers up for Chase Young, too. That sucks.
Yeah,
That's a tough one.
But now
Right.
it seems like an appropriate time to wrap up with the last bad, and for me, that's the Seattle Seahawks. But first, I want to give congrats to Russell Wilson on such a great comeback story. Your video on your 3-week finger recovery was so inspiring that you had a 50% completion percentage, 160 yards, 2 picks, and 0 points scored on offense. Congrats, Russ. Great video. You sucked, though, on Sunday. The offense was abysmal, and the Packers' defense ate them alive at the line of scrimmage. He had no time back there, too. Not to his fault. He had no time back there. But also, the Packers' secondary was clamping Lockett and DK Metcalf, who had more hissy fits than he had catches on Sunday. So, I don't know. It was a mess. Jamal Adams mocks the bell on his 3rd career INT, tying Vince Wilfork, by the way. 3rd career INT.
I hate that guy.
And then gave up 2 touchdowns and lost 17-0. So, the Seahawks blow and have no first-round picks, and best case scenario is an outside shot at the 7th seed, which I don't see as a likely scenario.
Yeah, they kind of have to win out and get to 9 wins, or well, I guess 10 wins now would be winning out. And maybe with the exception of 1 loss, I think their 1 loss is probably going to come this weekend in Arizona. Arizona coming off a loss. Those 2 matchups last year, though, proved to be 2 of the best games of the season. So we'll see. I'd love to see a great game. But JD, you hit it right on the head. They suck.
Yeah.
They have no first-round pick. Their offensive line sucks. They have no running game. Metcalf and Lockett, they don't even get the ball in their hands on Sunday. This team's awful.
And
There's no one on their defense except for Wagner and Jamal Adams. And is Wagner even the same guy he was? I don't think he will. He's on the decline. He's still great, but he's on the decline. And Jamal Adams is not that good.
No.
I'd like to thank Jamal Adams for those 2 draft picks.
Yeah,
well,
congrats to you guys for having those 2 picks. You deserve it.
Oh, well, thank you.
Alrighty.
So just last touch on Seattle. Sorry.
Okay.
Right now they're trending to a 3-7 record, and once you get to that 3-7 point, or 2-7, 3, once you get 4 or 5 wins under 500, middle of the year, it's kind of time to pack it in, unless you're last year's NFC East, and you can pack it in, go for the draft pick. They're not able to do that. I see them losing a lot more games because of the division they're in. Really bad week for Seattle, and I want to talk about Green Bay. I know we talk about them every week. I love talking about Green Bay because they're the best team in the NFL.
KB.
Agreed.
Their defense is so overwhelming this year. It's such an overachieving group. New defensive coordinator. They got the old bad Jets juju out of there with the last guy. His name's escaping my mind. Former Jets coordinator as well. So they got that out, and the Packers are the best team in football. I think if I have to pick a champion right now, it's them, and they showed it. No one has any business coming into Rodgers last season there. No one has any business coming into Lambeau Field from now to the end of the season and winning a game there.
And they're going to be even more dangerous if the offense just finds some resemblance of what they were last year, because obviously they had the Rodgers COVID, so I'm not judging the offense off that game, but all year it's been ranked in the bottom half in the 20s, so they'll wake up, though. They're going to wake up at some point, and if the defense is still playing like this, and personally as a Packers fan, I don't know how you feel better. And their secondary without Jair Alexander, Stokes is unbelievable for a rookie, just being thrown in as cornerback number 1. after Jair's injury is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And don't look now, Kevin King is the highest graded defensive player on the Packers.
Well,
We
don't jinx your
I may
secondary
be
there,
jinxing it, but Kevin King, I know people don't want to hear it, has been good this year. And Devondre Campbell has been the MVP on the defense, and Adrian Amos and Savage are one of the top safety duos. They've got pieces. They've got Zadarius Smith coming back, too, on the pass rush. Hopefully Gary's okay. I think they said they're going to try to play him with a brace around his arm this weekend. Unfortunately, Whitney Merciless is done for the year with a bicep tear. Unfortunately, he was playing good for us, too. We were kind of getting something out of him that, I mean, we were hoping for that.
And how good is Devondre Campbell?
Dude, Devondre Campbell's everywhere, dude. He's in every play. I knew who this guy was. He was a classic because you always recognize him by the dreads. He was on the Falcons. But I don't know what happened because his transformation is unbelievable. It's changed the Packers' defense. Their one weakness every year is middle linebacker. So, I mean...
Yeah, and I'm really intrigued to see how the Packers defense performs once they get Jair and Zadarius back. Obviously, Jair won't be back for a while, but I don't know how it can get much better. I'm interested to see if Big Z, who hasn't been playing in the defense all year, is going to adjust well and if they'll play better.
They'll need him, though, too, because they are banged up at pass rush. So,
yeah, and I think both of those guys is going to increase the sack total. They're going to get at the quarterback way more, and that's a scary, because maybe you could argue what the Packers are missing right now would be the elite pass rush status.
Yeah.
Even though it's been very good.
Yeah.
Because Jair, you're going to get your coverage sacks once he's back, and once Big Z's back, he's going to get around.
And you have
around the edge.
I don't want us to forget Rashawn Gary. I want to say has been great too. He's second in the league in pressures, and I know pressures is not as flashy as sacks, but pressures is huge because you're disrupting the play. I mean, it's just as big a stat in my opinion as sacks. And he's still got 5.5 sacks. He's still finishing his plays, but he's there. And hopefully he's still healthy. I mean, this team, I feel like I don't know how you say that they don't match up well again. Like they match up well versus everybody, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're the best team in the NFL.
Yep. So I think we're going to talk more about them later. And for now, we will swing into the always most enjoyable part of the show.
Ugly.
Where
we rip these teams for their putrid performance on Sunday.
So I'm doing a bit of a different type of ugly this week. I have the Lions walked into Heinz Field. The Lions were 0-8. The Steelers were 5-3. Those numbers didn't change. They just added a 1 to the
end,
which is the most pathetic outcome possible for either team. They tie 16-16. Both quarterbacks as bad as you could play. Mason Rudolph is an absolute horrid backup. I don't know how he still is.
He can't throw it. I mean, he had the one drive. Their first drive, KB, was really good. The Steelers were up 7-0, and after that, it's almost like he forgot how to throw the football.
The scariest part of the Mason Rudolph thing, though, for me is Jared Goff might be worse.
Yeah.
He might be.
Is horrible.
It was 14 for 25 with 114 yards.
Dude, Motor City Dan Campbell before this game said, I'm taking over the plays, and we are not throwing the football today. Because DeAndre Swift had 33 carries, and then this other I forget his name, it's blanking me, but wouldn't he have 2 touchdowns?
He went off.
Yeah. I know you're talking about, I'll look up his name right now, but my other notes for this one is Najee Harris and DeAndre Swift are really, really good. Both teams have an absolute dual-threat stud at running back. But overall, I think this is a worse outcome for the Lions than another loss. Because I think that this sparks a sense of, well, we can't win in the locker room. Even when we play a good game, we get into field goal range in overtime, we actually just can't win games. It takes the morale down, I think. Because what do you even say? You want to go in there and say, oh, we just got our first win. Dan Campbell, throw out some game balls. Yeah. You tied.
What do you do?
You're not going to go in and say, oh, well,
what do you do?
What do you even go in and do in the locker room? I think this is really discouraging for Pittsburgh. Because even with Mason Rudolph on the field, they're a much better team. They should be scoring more than 16 points. if they played Najee at quarterback. They could run a Wildcat offense the whole game. I think they should have scored
Hey,
more than
where's
16
Dewey
points.
Haskins? Dwayne Haskins?
Yeah.
Isn't
come
Dwayne
on.
Haskins
They're not
back
even-
there? What about Josh
They
Dobbs?
don't even dress him. He sits there in the jacket with the headset on. He's not talking. He was taking his advice on the sideline. Put him on the field. Let him throw. I don't know if Dobbs still exists, but
I don't know.
I have no idea. But this was just a disgusting game of football. Both teams had the ball in overtime. Both teams had chances in overtime. Everyone's turning the ball over. Overall, Steelers are in too tough of a division to tie a game. They're lucky they didn't lose it. And the Lions are not winning a game. They're going to be the first team to go 16.
Yeah, they might.
This is embarrassing.
I had the
Unless they were to take on the Bears in round 2, which I don't think they will.
We'll
that's
see.
the game I see for them.
The Bears are going to beat them too, but I had the unfortunate pleasure of watching this game Sunday, most of it,
Yeah.
because of I had the Lions at +8.
My
I had the
condolences.
Lions at +8.5 we picked that on Thursday before we even knew Big Ben was out. So I was feeling good about my Lions bet going in, but outside of that, the game was terrible. It was torrential downpour.
Yep.
In OT, once it got to OT, you had to know the only way for this game to end is a tie. These two teams have been so bad. Deontay Johnson had that great catch in OT and was running upfield with it and fumbled, and then Fear moved, however you say his name, fumbled. So
Yeah.
the Steelers had their chances. I'm not saying Boswell would have made a 50-yard field goal in the pouring rain,
Yeah.
but you want to at least have a shot. So it's deflating for the Steelers because they're in the tight AFC wildcard race, but I don't know if this game with the rain plus Mason Rudolph, I don't know if it's a good tell of how they actually are, how good they actually are.
Yeah, but I think that we just saw a team that the offense can fail them any week.
Yeah, the offense is not good. The offense is not good.
Not at all.
And even
And if TJ
Big Ben,
Watt's out
they
for a
probably win
long
the game
period
if
of
Big Ben
time,
plays, but yeah, if TJ Watt's out, that's another thing. I put my
Defensive player of the year,
bet on
TJ
TJ Watt, and now he's hurt. So I have Stafford
crazy.
MVP. He stinks now. I put TJ Watt as my defensive player of the year. He's not even going to play now. What's next? Vrabel's emails get released.
Braves,
Jesus.
Coach Braves.
But I think we could segue into the ugly Monday Night Football performance. Reese, take it away.
Oh, the Rams. This is such a bad game. I watched it from start to finish. I had the Niners you can see that on our Instagram, but coming off an L to the Titans, it looked like such a bounce back game for the Rams. Von Miller was active. They signed OBJ. He was active. He got solid 15, 20 snaps in that game. But the offense came out honestly just horrible. There was drop balls. Matt Stafford was making
They were force
horrible
feeding
decisions.
OBJ in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which-
there was
that
that
first throw
horrible
down the
pick.
field was
That
horrible.
horrible
Which
pick.
on the
Which
field
a
at the
lot
end
of
of the
people knew would be the downfall of this game, trying to force feed OBJ.
Yeah. And this game actually almost sounded too good. The Niners were 0-4 at home. It just looked like it was all
Yeah.
Rams.
Niners beat
But
them twice last year too. Both games they
Yeah.
played.
Yeah, and
Niners beat them.
Shanahan seems
the
to
Niners
have,
came to play.
Shanahan seems to have McVay's number at this point because, I don't know what happened to the Rams here. This is just one of the more strange games I've seen.
I think the way the Niners really beat up on the Rams was through the run game. They were just pounding the rock with Elijah Mitchell, and I think it was Collinsworth last night that said it on the broadcast. But you have the Rams want you to pass the ball. They have a great pass defense and not as good of a run defense. Once you double team Aaron Donald, and Von Miller was not that much of a factor last week. He was still a little beaten up, but they ran the ball down their throats and didn't really give the Rams a chance. In the second half, the Rams went 3 and out on their first 3 drives of the game. And this is big for me. It was an eye-opener. The Rams have a brutal schedule from here on out.
Yep.
They play the Jags, but after that they play the Cardinals, the Seahawks, the Vikings, and the Ravens.
The Niners?
So
wait,
those are all...
the Niners, you mean? Niners schedule?
No, the Rams schedule.
Rams play the Packers
Niners
next.
play the Jags next week.
Niners play the Jags.
Oh. Okay, I must have written it out of order. Okay, yeah, they play the Cards, Jags, then the Seahawks, Vikings, and Ravens. But these are all teams that, the way they've been playing, can easily beat them. So I'm really interested to see how those teams come off how those teams look at the game plan that the Rams have lost.
Yeah,
and
it was on the, and I think
See
I
what
saw it
they
on the Monday Night Manning cast with Payne and Eli. There was a clip of them like saying the 49ers are making it very obvious what they want to do. They're going to run the ball and they're going to throw inside the hash marks with Jimmy G because they're not going to throw to the outside. But the Rams continually kept putting corners on the outside, and then it was just easy pickings for the 49ers, slants, just little routes over the middle. So I didn't really know what the game plan was, but they really made Jimmy G look like he was actually like a decent quarterback. So, I mean, I don't...
Yeah, it brings up questions with... The Rams' defense is certainly very good, but they have taken a drop-off this year, and it brings up questions with the changing coordinator for me. They went from Brandon Staley to Raheem Morris, who was the Falcons' interim last year and a failed head coach in Tampa. But nonetheless, he was evidently a great defensive coordinator to get the head coaching gig. But it brings up a lot of questions. Their defensive game plan doesn't seem great.
And
Last
Vaughn
2
was an
weeks,
X
The offensive
factor.
game plan has been really bad. Yeah.
A non-factor,
So it's been a... Yeah. But last 2 weeks are slightly concerning for me with the Rams, especially with Stafford. We've never really seen Stafford. I know he's made the playoffs a few times, but only wild card games that they haven't won in Detroit. So we've never really seen Stafford get into these really important games down the stretch with a Super Bowl caliber team. And now we're starting to see that. I'm not going to attribute their losses to that. They've also played teams that I think highly of. I think highly of the coaching staffs. But it's something to note that Stafford's been struggling, that the Rams have been struggling to get stuff going. I think that they could use Akers at running back, but he won't be back until maybe if they make the Super Bowl, McVay said. So
Yeah, and losing Robert Woods is bigger than people are
Woods is
even
a
saying.
huge loss.
He's one of the
And
engines of that
OBJ does not
offense.
replace Woods.
Yeah.
Odell, even Giants Odell, it does not replace Woods. Woods is a totally different
What he
type.
does for them.
It's a totally different style. He's great in the slot. He takes away. You got to focus so much on him over the middle. He's great at playing underneath. He opened up so much for Cooper Kupp. That's a really big loss. And Stafford loved going to Woods. So did Goff previously. The Rams' offense just loves to use him. So that's a really big loss for them.
Yeah.
In Woods. I think that hurts their offense more than OBJ helps it.
Agreed. And they don't really have much time. They gotta go. They gotta get going now, especially in that.
Yeah, they've got a bye.
in the
They've got their
NFC.
bye week, and then they go to Green Bay. So we'll see where they're at with OBJ after that.
All right, we got to get the next one out of the way.
Oh my ugly!
Ugliest franchise of all time.
The New York Jets. Not much of a surprise that they lost in the way they did, but how they did it again was dreadful in my opinion. I know you guys are going to have a lot to say about it, so I'll make this quick. Their defense is historically bad. There's no other way to put it. I know it's a young team. It's a young defense. They got a lot of promising pieces over there, just from what I've heard you guys say. But it's tough to watch. Their defense is so bad right now, and they got to clean that up. But now that that's out of the way, Mike White was a cult hero 2 weeks ago. And with the chance in the locker room, he was basically in the Jets Hall of Fame after a week and 2 drives. And he came back down to earth yesterday with 4 picks. I mean, I'm sorry, fellas.
Yeah.
It might be time to hop off the Mike White train. I don't know what they're going to do this week.
I knew it was over after the first snap. After the first snap, Mike White was done.
Yeah, I just want to turn this one over to you guys to see what you guys have to say. But who are you starting next week? Who's the starter?
Wilson.
Zach Wilson, absolutely.
If Wilson's healthy, I'm starting him. And if Wilson's not healthy, I'm starting Joe Flacco.
Oh, yeah, because Joe Flacco came out there number 19 like he just rolled out of bed and started slinging that thing around.
Yeah.
Flacco looked like the Flacco of old.
We're getting vintage Flacco.
In his final drive there. But I think Flacco, even in the games they saw him last year, was much better. I'm not going to spend time talking about Flacco right now.
Yeah, no.
The Jets' defense has allowed more points over a 4-game stretch than anyone in the Super Bowl era since, of course, the Crosstown Giants in 1966. So that's a pretty significant run for your defense, especially out of the bye week. Since the bye week, they've been the worst defense in NFL history.
Yeah, and
I
don't think Salah's got a lot to work with here. I really
no, he
don't.
doesn't.
Yeah, I don't think Salah has a lot to work with, and this team is very young, and they're going to show their youth but holy shit, this team
team
stinks.
stinks.
Yeah.
I can't
suck.
do it. Every week I watch these guys, I sit there and I am miserable from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock. It makes me question why I love football.
Yeah.
This team, Sal is lifeless again.
Yeah.
And I don't blame him because the house
They
that the Jets
shaved.
gave him is god-awful. The Jets do not deserve any sort of talent. Even though they have it, they're never going to do shit with it. They let the players rot. They let the coaches rot. This is the worst organization in all of sports. And I don't really have anything else to say. It's just infuriating. I've been sitting here for 16 years. My dad's been sitting there for 50, and we still haven't seen a Super Bowl. I don't know what to do.
Not
at
a
this
Super
point.
Bowl. Reese.
It's disgusting.
You haven't seen a playoff season since 2010. I mean,
Yes,
that's
yeah,
hard.
yeah,
There's teams
yeah,
who've had it longer, like the Lions, which is unfortunate. They made the playoffs one year, but they're terrible too, just like the Jets. But I mean, it's hard to watch this team every week. I know they're young, and I know they're trying to build it up, but at least put some sort of capable product of playing a competent football game on the field.
Make
my
a
only
game
silver
plan. Just a
lining,
game
but
plan and stick to
If
it.
I have to give you a positive, I'm not even going to talk about the rookies that I think have been very good this year. The Jets have had the hardest schedule in the NFL as far as winning percentage. Jets have the literal number one hardest schedule in the league since week 1. For the rest of the season, they have the easiest based on average winning percentage. Their next 5 games are out. This is going to be out of order, but they Miami Sunday. They play Houston, Philly, Miami, and the Saints, and then Jacksonville. It's as easy of a stretch as they could have. The Jets need to win a
and they're
couple
just
games. They need to compete in all of them to keep the fan base engaged and to have some promise for this core. And I think Wilson getting back on the field Sunday will hopefully spark him a little bit. And you need to see Wilson take away from what Johnson did.
Yeah,
you need to see him take away from what Johnson did on Thursday night against the Colts and what White did against the Bengals and take what the defense gives you, but also showcase your talent and allow that to open up downfield.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I'm not done with this regime at all. I think
way.
We'll talk about it more as the offseason goes on. I'm not
frustrated.
giving up already. It's just it's a patience thing, and it's tough to keep patient with this team because they stink every week. I don't think Buffalo played that great. The defense played great. Their offense was not that good, and they scored at will.
The Jets, I'm never going to give up on the Jets. I love them too much, but it doesn't matter if you get the number 1 pick every week. If you come out with a dog shit game plan where the stars you have are shining and you're still getting blown out. I don't care how good Vera Tucker's doing and how good Wilson's doing.
I was just going to say, I tell you what,
L on the stat sheet.
They might have the second best left guard in football.
Oh, they do.
I mean, Elijah Vera Tucker.
I love Vera Tucker.
You thought back then had a good rookie season last year? My God.
Yeah, back then doesn't compare.
Yeah, what's going on with back then?
I think he doesn't like playing football.
Is he just
is
he too big?
I have a feeling. You know what? I have a feeling.
I don't think he can step on that knee
whether
anymore.
he's
He needs
in
to lose
shape
8 pounds.
or not. Whether he's in shape or not, I know a lot of people like to say, "Oh, he's letting himself go. He's lazy. He's out of shape." The media really likes to pick on Becton. Salah said 1 to 3 more weeks is their hopeful time frame, and most likely. But I think that he's just too big naturally, if he's in the best shape, to recover quickly from knee and foot injuries. And so that's a liability. He had trouble at Louisville. He had trouble in high school staying on the field with foot injuries. So that's questionable. But
really all
the Jets have one really big issue that Mike LaFleur is bugging me with a lot. Elijah Moore is by far wide receiver 1, and they don't even give him the ball.
Yeah.
Never.
Whenever he gets the ball, he makes plays.
He's good.
Where's the screenplay for him? Where's the gadget plays for him? They only throw that flea flicker to Carter once a game, and nothing else is creative.
Yeah.
Take the 49ers game plan with Debo and just do the same thing with Elijah Moore.
Yeah,
you might as well at this point. Find something that they can use and abuse until people figure it out. Every NFL team does it besides the Jets. We don't have a set thing that we're good at, ever.
It's
whatever team, league. Whatever shows up.
It's a copycat league, and the Jets don't copy.
Yep.
All right, I think we can move off of that miserable franchise, miserable uniforms, miserable coaches, miserable quarterbacks, miserable owners, miserable everything, miserable fans.
Okay. I've said enough.
We can move to the power rankings, which I'm really excited for.
Hey.
Last week we started doing these, our top 10 teams of the week. right after these power rankings, we'll talk about how each team, pick a couple teams and just talk about how we think they shape up going forward, playoff chances, and we'll do that each week from now until the actual postseason. But I'll get started with mine. Coming in at number 10, a team that was not on my list last week. I wanted to put them higher, but I still can't, is the Patriots. They're my number 10. Until I see dynamic quarterback play, I cannot put them higher. Number 9 for me, dropped 3 spots, is the Ravens. They were my 6 last week. Now they're my 9. I had started to have Lamar in MVP. He was my debate with Stafford, really, for MVP, along with Tom Brady. But Lamar, after his Thursday night game, and just the team as a whole did not look very good. That drops him down. Number 8, coming off back-to-back losses, is the Buccaneers. I think that they will totally fix this once guys get healthy. But as of now, for the team that they're putting on the field now, they're my 8. 7, I have the Cowboys. Cowboys, I've been high on all year. I thought their loss against the Broncos was tough, but probably a fluke. Big win this weekend to get them back into my Super Bowl contenders. Number 6, back-to-back losses also for who would have been my number 2 team if they had won last night, is the Rams. Rams, concerning last 2 weeks, haven't played good, but lost to 2 good teams. 5, I talked about them before. I won't talk about them really right now. Chiefs are back. They're my 5. Number 4 is the Bills, easily the best defense in football, and Josh Allen's as good as any quarterback in the league. And also, we didn't talk about it too much with the Jets, I liked how they got Diggs going a little bit more, ran a couple design plays for him. It paid off really well for them. I have at number 3 is the Cardinals. They're my number 2 last week. They dropped down 1, a loss without Kyler Murray, so I didn't really give them too much hate for that. Number 2, Titans, best team in the AFC. As good as any team in the league record-wise, and my number 1 remains the same. Packers picked up another win this week, shutting out the Seahawks, and they are my number 1 in the league.
KB, I got a quick question for you. No Tampa Bay in the top 10?
They're my 8.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I missed that. I was gonna say
Reese.
I was confused.
I'm not leaving them out.
Okay. All right. So I'm up, right?
Yep.
Yep.
All right. So at number 10, I have the Chiefs. I really liked how they played, but I'm not really sold on them yet. I want to see at least another week. And then I have the Patriots. I really like the Pats. I was considering putting them over my team at 7 here, but I didn't. I really think that they're a good team, but I still like the Ravens more. So that being said, I got the Ravens, and then I have the Bills. The Bills still, even against the Jets, Miami, and the Jags, haven't impressed me too much, so I have them a little low. Then I have the Bucs, Rams, Cowboys, and then the Cardinals. This is a tough decision for me, putting the Cowboys over the Rams, but the way that they've been playing, they had 1 bad week. The Rams have had 2, so that just gave them the edge there for me. Then I have the Cards, Titans, and Pack along with UKB. Nothing else I really have to say. The Packers are the best team in football. The rest has been really tough for me to navigate.
Curious, I think I'm higher on the Chiefs than most, but why is, what's the thought process? Chiefs worse than New England?
I think if New England played the Chiefs right now, that the Chiefs would win, or that the Pats would win.
That's fair.
The Pats would win. I think the defense would figure out the Chiefs, especially this year, and the offense doesn't need to do too much, honestly, if the Chiefs continue their play besides last week.
Yeah, I have a lot of the same, not a lot of the same picks, but agree with your point on the Chiefs. I'm going to have them in 10, jumping up from not even being ranked last week. So they're going to enter the top 10 at number 10 for me. I'm going to throw the Ravens dropping down a few spots to 9 over the Chiefs, only because of the main reason that they beat each other head-to-head. The Ravens beat the Chiefs head-to-head. So I put them at 9. I like the Bills at 8. Keeping them at 8 from last week. Love the way they played against the Jets, but it's not going to make me throw them up in the top 5 as of right now. I like the Rams at 7, dropping a few spots after that bad game. I like the Patriots high at number 6. I feel really good about the Patriots. I had them in my top 10 last week, and the win against the Browns only makes me feel better about them. And I'm going to have the Bucs at 5, staying in the same spot, even though with the loss to the football team, I still think the Bucs, when healthy, beat all the teams under them. I have the Cowboys at 4. After that win against the Falcons, to bounce back against after the tough loss to the Broncos. I've got the same top three: Cardinals at 3, Titans at 2, Packers at 1. I think it's acceptable to put the Titans at 1, but we're all in agreement that we think the Packers are the best team in football.
Yeah.
Me, maybe more a little enthusiastic than you guys about it because I'm a Packers fan, but I think that's a fair assumption to have those top 3. And then after that, It's kind of like fair game. It can be whatever. I like the Cowboys, Bucs to round them out, but
I got to say, you look at these rankings, I feel like we're starting to see a possible, first half of the year was all the NFC teams are a lot more top-heavy than the AFC teams. But I think the AFC teams are starting to really make a case for themselves.
They could jump up in the top
especially
5.
in my rankings. I have how many teams? 1, 2, 3, 5 of my teams out of my 10, so I'm 50-50 now, and the Titans are really good. I don't think the Titans are the best team in the AFC, though. I want to know what you guys thought about that. I think right now they are. I think right now they beat anyone in the AFC, but I don't think that sustains into the postseason. I want to know what you guys thought of that.
Without Derrick Henry, I don't think they're the best team in the AFC. They're the hottest team in the AFC right now, and they probably could beat anyone, like you said, but I think once teams figure out what they're doing without Derrick Henry, there's not going to be too much for them to key on, and I think the Titans are a very beatable but good team.
Yeah, I think right now you have to say they're the best team in the AFC just because they've been the most consistent out of any of the teams, and they're the 1 seed. But let's not forget, this team has had 20 players on IR at one point.
Yeah.
They've also dressed 80 different people instead of the normal 53. So this is a wonderfully coached football team. I think that's
that's why I had Vrabel in my
Vrabel is
coach of the year.
Vrabel, I had Bill Belichick, but Vrabel's right there. I mean, I was between those two guys.
Good.
The Titans are wonderfully coached. I think they have a real good shot at the Super Bowl, but I'm not willing to say that they're my pick out of the AFC yet. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to take some time.
And I think that the Cardinals should get back on track. I'm grateful, not grateful, is not the word, but I'm happy that you guys didn't also, give them too much of a penalty for their loss on Sunday. I really didn't think that was a showing of who the Cardinals are.
Way.
But overall, you guys got anything else? Anyone else you want to touch on?
I'd like to talk about the Panthers a little bit. They're sneaking into that 7th spot right now. Cam Newton, I think he added that spark I was talking about last week. I'm really interested to see how he plays as the full-time starter. But he is a huge end zone threat, especially with McCaffrey. Those guys are both able to get in the end zone really easily from the shotgun. I'm really interested to see how the Panthers do, but they're in line. They're in line to get into the playoffs, and then from then on, it's the NFL. You don't know. I'm excited.
I talked about it last week.
No, you're good. You're good. You go.
Though. I'm gonna roll through here. I spoke about it last week. I think that there's a big difference. Maybe Darnold's a better quarterback than P.J. Walker, but I think that there's the big difference of, and this applies for Cam too, I'm just using P.J. Walker as the example. I think there's a big difference when you go from a quarterback that you're confident in, or that you just genuinely like as a skill player, as opposed to someone like Darnold who you don't trust, who you maybe not your best friend in the locker room, not a guy you love, not a veteran you love. I think that these are that was a big reason for the Panthers' success on Sunday. Their defense is still really good, too. I think that this is maybe not a dangerous playoff team, but a team that should be in the bottom 2 seeds of the NFC. JD?
Yeah, I could definitely see the NFC playoff picture standing the way it is with the same teams, just flipped around a little bit maybe with the Saints, the Panthers. I don't know if the Panthers make the playoffs, even with the spark that Cam gave them. I think it might last like a few games. Like I think the Panthers might play some good football the next 2-3 games. But honestly, I don't really know how good he is still. Like
I'd have to put Minnesota ahead of
him. I honestly could definitely see a scenario where the Vikings get in as the 7th seed. But we don't know with the Saints either. I think the Saints have a good enough roster to get them in over those 2 teams. But the 6 and the 7 are up for grabs in the NFC, and I'm excited. I think to me it's between the Panthers, Saints, and Vikings. 2 of those 3 teams will get in, but I don't know. I don't know about how I feel about Cam. He obviously won over the locker room already. He's won over the team. They're ready for him to start.
Yeah.
He's led more huddles this year on the sideline.
Yeah, he gives them a better chance than Darnold does for sure. But I still don't know. I still don't know how that works out in Carolina. We'll see.
Yeah, the reason I think they can snag that spot is because Cam knows how to make CMC thrive, which is the X factor for that offense. I think Cam is going to provide more of an opportunity than Darnold did with CMC, just because he knows how they have that chemistry together. They've been playing, they did play together for so long. I think McCaffrey's going to get a little boost too, and that's going to win them a game or two. That I think gets them in.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so I think good week 10. Hopefully
another week of the underdogs.
Another week of the underdogs. I'm
underdog
hoping
week.
that changes a little bit, but it makes for good conversation, definitely. But I'd like to see more of a shift back to the favorites. I'll be taking off my picks, but we'll still be doing a pick 'em
Yeah, we'll be back
show on Thursday.
We'll be back Thursday.
Slightly abbreviated from the normal version. We're going to try to dive into the more important games, and an example that we used prior when we were talking, like a game like the Jets Dolphins. Maybe we'll run through all of our picks, but no content, no information about it. But yeah, we'll get more into the relevant matchups, and it should be a good one Thursday. So come back for that. Make sure you're checking out the Instagram. Make sure you're checking out the TikTok. That'll all be in the description. And also, we're on Twitter. But Instagram, we've had some good stuff go up last week. We're going to have our power rankings up tomorrow. We've had our mid-season awards that all of mine are disasters. All of our betting picks. Don't look at any of mine, though. And but yeah, so good stuff. You want to check out all that, and another good show today, guys.
Yeah, and
Yep, good show.
great show. Another ugly week with the underdogs winning. I mean, we'll see if the trend holds up. We said it wouldn't last week, but we ate our words. So I'm just gonna see. I don't want to take any favorites on Thursday Night Football like the Patriots. I just want to watch so I can enjoy these upsets instead of getting consistently screwed with my game picks.
Yeah.
Because we're still gonna we'll still drop our pick 'em and everything on Instagram for the whole slate, but we might try to abbreviate Thursday's show just to keep it a little shorter and keep it a little more like what we really love for the weekend instead of just running through every game in depth.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so that's it for Week 10, Good, Bad, Ugly podcast. We'll be back up on Thursday. Make sure to come back, check it out. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Thanks for watching.
Have a good one, everyone.